Last time on the Kultcha.
70,000 people is not 7,000 people are no longer in the Department of Correction that was getting paid 100. Where's that money going? Where that money could be going? To the schools, to the streets, to community centers, to art programs. I didn't go to school. I didn't get no high school, no degree right out of high school. But if I didn't have the community centers that we used to have, the East, the summer programs that we used to go to, if I didn't have that, I wouldn't even know what I would have been today.
Well, the community
you hear about a lot of defunding too. I didn't mean to cut you off, but that you hear a lot of defunding the police, and people thinking they want to close the police down. They're saying no. We're saying start allocating these funds elsewhere. They don't need all that money. They have way too much stuff. And I agree.
But you already got the 7,000.
How much money they have coming in there? You know, you think about that aspect of it, and you say, hey, we do need to think about defunding. And people are like, oh my God, you mean take our police departments? It's like, no, stupid. That's not what that means. Why don't you look it up? Like, come on. Nobody's saying
because if you give
that for the sake of, drama and creating problems. But my issue with them is just saying, listen, if they got a $350 million budget, what do they need $100 million for? Because that's what
and how great is that?
Another $150 million while these kids is out here killing each other out east. And we're saying, hey, put this money in the community so that they can get jobs.
Well, the community centers have been taken away. And then you have people in the community that open these so-called rec centers, and they have been stealing the grant money.
Exactly.
So let's be honest, because on this show and on my platform, I'm gonna be nice because I have my beautiful sisters on here today. But I usually call some out in certain states, and I don't have no problem with calling some out. But some of these kids are not getting paid. It was a rec center in the Bronx in Baychester. The lady there at the rec center, she was stealing the grant money. She's actually has been arrested. She actually brought a hotel. So that means she was getting a nice part of the grant money. It's another lady in South Jamaica, Queens. And when I get the papers back on that, I am going to announce her name. Because I was just told that her kids was not getting paid in her center. And she's running all over Hot 97 and all these other platforms. And I guess speaking the word, but these kids are working in summer youth and not getting paid. So we have these things that's going on. And I try not to call them out, but I have to call them out. Because they're destroying a child's future and the things money. That he can do better.
For their money.
So for the money, but it starts once again, and that's the first thing you learn. You hear it anywhere you go. They say the money is the root of all evil. It's going to take a lot of us, like-minded people that want to see these children go further in life. We have to be our brother and sister's keeper. We're not. I was told by Miss Henrietta Fallard. She said, "What's going on now today in this past month was a beautiful thing." She fought for civil rights. She fought for voters' rights. I'm sorry she couldn't be here today because she's doing. She has some. I guess they call it. What y'all call it in Christianity when y'all do y'all
convocation?
She has a lot of for the next week. She's going to be on so many different platforms.
Is that a conference?
Yeah, conference. I'm sorry. Yeah, your conferences. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be rude.
That's okay. I was I don't know where she's going.
So but she said to hear Elder say that she was proud of the steps because she saw the world get involved with the African American, and not even the African American. She said the Black American.
That's a big deal, and I hope people pay attention. Yeah. 50 states, right, and 18 countries that stood up for us.
But you know what? You know what, Kim?
We stood up for a lot of people.
The one thing I always tell my kids, and I tell people, you listen, you gotta want that. You can't want it more than they want it. They can't want this more than we want it. Do you understand what I'm saying? We have to want this as much as they want it for us. Because if they're gonna fight for us, then we need to be like right in the front. Because we don't need nobody taking credit for this. You understand? Like, thank you. I appreciate you doing that, but you need to get involved in this too, and everybody else need to be involved in this. I took when they told me I was pregnant with twins, I say it now, I ran like hell from Brooklyn because I was scared for my sons, right? My sons grew up around a bunch of white kids, like, so sometimes I feel sad for that because I feel like they don't, but I was saving lives as far as I'm concerned, right? I'm saving lives, but I'm there to go back and pick somebody up, and I'm always going back to get somebody else. But I was saving lives at this point, and I'm glad I did it because my sons also got scholarships and things to go to college that I'm grateful for. I don't know how I was going to pay for twins to go to school, but if I didn't, but somebody picked me up. Somebody was like, "Come on, Raleem, let's go down here. Let's go this way, not that way." So all of us on here, we could talk, we could beat each other up about the charter systems and public school system. We still got to pick somebody up. And let's go. We're going out this way. We got to go this way.
But Miss Raleem, it's not beating nobody up.
All right, I know. I knew I was gonna get you mad when I said that.
It's not beating nobody up. It's about like you said, accountability and stepping forward. Kareem, I mean, give us your viewpoint because you work with young men of color.
Yes, sir. I mean, I applaud what the sisters are doing and what they've done in the system and working with our young men. And I think that because I have a lot of my students that have either gone through the system or dealt some challenges. And one of the things that I like to do is I like to make all of their lessons or all of their experiences a teaching moment that can be now applicable to generating revenue. So like when Mrs. Pullings was talking about you got the young men that selling candy and all that, like I let them know that's entrepreneurship. That's it, and it's a skill, even though it might be, it landed you in a place, whatever. Let's get past that. But at the end of the day, I need you to understand the skill and the hustle that you possess and why that's important and why that skill is transferable into other fields and other commodities. Because that's what that's the evidence. Listen, I'm 40. We all within the same, age group. Like, I'm raised off of hip hop. It's a global $1 billion. We did that. That's entrepreneurial spirit. That's our culture. That's what we do. The hustle.
Black Wall Street wasn't for nothing.
Exactly.
Well,
exactly.
Well, now, okay. We touch on the culture is ours.
Yes.
They don't want us. So when you look at these things, we've done all genres of music. We played all the sports. The sports that they watch and they make multi-millions off of. We played. And Miss Raleem, you said to have these discussions, or you said the debates of them. These are only topics of discussions so we can have the round table, and then we can figure out a solution. And the more minds that we have that come together, like I said, and are like-minded, we can come up with a solution. It's all discussions.
Ali, real quick, I want to finish the point because the solutions, what you're talking about, they're all there. The examples are all there. We have to show them, listen, what no matter who their favorite influencer is, as we talk about, whether you want to reference, Jay-Z and 50 or whatever for hip hop, or you want to reference LeBron and what he's doing in sports and Alex Rodriguez, the examples are there. One of the things, and we talk about how because the culture is ours, as Black Americans, one of the challenges that we face when we're mentoring our youth is that our youth are not, like, America is not a homogenous country. what I mean by that, let me. So, for example, for the youth, the students that I have that come from, Ghana or from, other parts of Africa or from the West Indies, Jamaica, whatever, they come from a country where everybody that looks like them, a homogenous country where the doctor, the lawyer, the mailman, the policeman, whatever the position is, everybody looks like them. There's no doubt in their mind of what they can be, or there's the examples of what they can do is already there. So one of the issues that we have with our youth in schools is that they're forced to look at, oh, I gotta be a rapper or the influence. Like, all of those examples are not brought about and put to the light so that they can model them the right way. That's why they want to get more black men or more black people in the school. So it's like, okay, now you have somebody that can relate. How are you going to look at the person who's teaching you most? If the family structure is not there, which we already spoke about, if daddy's not there or mom is doing something else and not so now you're being sent to a school and the people at the school don't look like you. So now you're going to look at social media, or you're going to look at the other influences around you of what you can become and what you can do. Where is that coming from? That is the culture. That is what we do. Like we're in our voice. Like you said, there's a round table. Where are the examples, the blueprint of what you can become and what you can do to generate revenue? What we've seen, and you've already mentioned it, is the dude who was ever on the corner or selling whatever he was doing to take care of his family. The result of the child that's looking at that person is that, yes, he got the flyest kicks, the outfit, whatever. No, he's taking care of his family. I know I can do this to generate revenue and take them out. I can see that example. I can follow that example. So how are we also providing the other examples so that it's very clear of, no, this is what you can do. Like, oh, I wanted to be a doctor like Huxtable. That's what I like. I'm not going to, I wanted to be a doctor like Huxtable when I was younger. That's what I was aspiring to be. But that was one of the examples that I had. Where are those? How are we bringing the examples to light?
I mean, hold on, Mr. Hertzog. Hold on, Kareem. Hold on. Because once again, a lot of examples in the community, you don't really see a lot of great positive examples. Let's not. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this on this platform, and some people might not like what I'm getting ready to say, but it's not a lot of great examples. It's a lot of bullshit. You got a lot of people that have their own angles and their own interior motives. So that's why when they say black and they say devil's food cake, yeah, a lot of that shit actually becomes true after a while because you're mentally stuck. So these examples that you want to see, we have to be these examples. We have to be them. We got to stop looking for the mirage and smoke and mirrors.
Well, that's
if you're going to be an example, you be the example. You step forward. Let's stop asking somebody else to be something. When you see that kid outside, like if you go on the coach's page on Instagram, I put it in a live story. A kid was being choked outside of my building it was about four white police officers, one Asian and one Hispanic. I walked downstairs and I said, he's a minor. Ease up off of him. And I told the young man, sit still. He said, the officer said, what does it matter to you? Is he your child? I said, yes, he's my child because he lives in my community. He's my neighbor. And he's only 13 years old. So now, Ty, you be quiet. I need the playback. I need the playback, officer. Because a lot of us don't know the rights and wrongs or what to ask for. So now let's stop. Because like Ms. Raleem said, let's be accountable. Let's stop looking for the fucking smoke and mirrors. Let's stop looking for who's gonna step up. Let's stop. If you want to step up, step up.
It's window dressing games. It's window dressing games. That's exactly what it is, right? See the Jay-Z's and the LeBrons and these celebrities, they make a change of a sort, but the basic fundamental never changes, and that's to make money for these other people, right? You can't give your kids over to another people in the system and expect them to come back to the community and help thrive. That is not going to work. So we need to start with the community first. I don't care what we have, pimp, drug dealers, crackheads, pushers, whatever we have, we must start with our own community. I think that is the basic, Kareem. Like, we got to start with ourselves. You know what I'm saying? And then we work outside of there, because back then, those stuff used to be tangible. They used to touch the policeman that was black. They used to touch the military person when he came back to the neighborhoods and had change in his pocket. It was giving them out to kids. That stuff was tangible to them. You know what I'm saying? Now you see people they look up to, they can't even touch or reach. They on TV, they on YouTube. I think that's part of the brainwashing. That's part of the issue. And I hope these celebrities that is at that level get to see that they are also engaging unknowingly in the oppression of our people in our communities. They just really help doing that. Yeah.
And the best person to say it was Charles Barkley.
What
He said it. He did a night commercial.
I am not a role
and he
model.
said, I am not your role model.
I'm not paid to be a role model.
No matter how you look at that man, he said, I am not your role model.
I'm paid to wreak havoc on the basketball court.
And nobody probably defined or understood what he was saying. And he gave a message so many years ago. That was a message. The role model.
You know what the thing about that is that he said, I'm not your role model, but we have made them our role models. When Michael Jordan happened, come on now. Everybody, that was the turn of the century where everybody was like, oh my God, that's my hero right there. And my thing is, the problem with that is the heroes came out of the neighborhoods, because the hero used to be Big Mom that used to be on the corner. She had the candy lady that sold the candy, or down here in the South, they got the honey dripper lady. She's the hero, because guess what? They still telling stories about her because she had the best honey drippers or whatever. So you have, like, I think what everybody was saying is important. I think that one of the things that we've noticed from hanging out and going out with the kids that are protesting with Black Lives Matter is the fact that they feel neglected, they feel abandoned, they feel left out, unheard. These kids are telling us what they feel. We're just not listening, or we're not there to hear. And I think the difference for us is that our children are all the ages. We got from 29 to 16. So because we have 29 to 16, we are involved in all of that stuff with 6 children, 3 girls, 3 boys. So the way that we've been approaching it is, well, we need to be out there. First of all, if our kids are going out there, I'm going with them. First and foremost, we protest together. And whoever want to join us, when them kids started coming out, and I'm seeing these kids coming out of these jails just for being arrested for resisting arrest. I'm like, who gets charged with that? That's stupid. But anyway, it's not right. But
hold on. We can embark on that, because you know what, you did a great thing during the protest, and you helped with bailing children out in Florida, Jacksonville. So thank you for being humble.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
You got to give you your flowers and roses.
That's all God. But the
thing. But you know what, and that's another thing. And I'm glad we touched it. I'm glad you said that.
Oh Lord Jesus! What?
And I'm glad you said that, because you know why? That's another thing. And I'm gonna tell you this. Let's stop waiting on God to give us an answer, because you know what? God also gave us free will.
Well, faith is nothing without works. Let me just say that's nothing without works.
That goes without saying. Like, there has to be action. We can pray, but we need to act. So
faith is nothing without works, Ali.
That's all I want.
Faith is nothing without works.
You have to come for me, but let me tell you, I was the one that was getting the phone calls, because they like, oh my God, somebody get your wife, because your wife is going off on the pastors here in Florida. So it's been one of those things, because it's been one of my pet peeves, because of the fact that we try to use religion as a way to say, well, I'm not going out there because Black Lives Matter has got too many gay people in it. And I'm like, you know what? God don't care nothing about what they are. God cares about their hearts. He cares about the people. He said, come out and be concerned about your neighbor. Who's coming out to be concerned about these kids? These kids are out here doing something that we haven't done. When we was protesting, we were protesting for apartheid. That tells you how old I am. I ain't telling my age. But when we were protesting, that's what we were protesting for. We were protesting against them not taking blood from Haitian students, because I was at LaGuardia and I was part of the Black Student Union, and we were protesting that because they were doing a big thing across the city where they weren't taking blood for Haitians, and we were like, why not? Oh, we believe they got HIV. Really? So that was another racist thing. But it was just so much. But the problem is now we have these kids and this is what they're saying. No one's cares. We're out here by ourselves. We are our pastors. We are our parents. We are the people. Now the people that are going out are the white people. The white people is like 7-1, which is good. It needs to be 7-1. It needs to be 20-1. Excuse me. 20-1. So what they're saying now is that, and what the conversation has been with the people in the church, out of the church, is we need to just show up. I don't care how you do it, show up. If there's a protest, show up. Doesn't necessarily mean you got to stay there. If you see us getting crazy, leave, go home. Because I'm not getting arrested doing something dumb. You want to riot, I'm out. We're not playing them games. I ain't never had cuffs on me. We ain't never going to have that. So unless it's civil disobedience, you know what I mean? I don't have a problem with that. But that's what we told them. If you're here and you're being arrested for resisting arrest, civil disobedience, anything related to your protesting, we will get you out. And we have attorneys waiting for you.
Good trouble.
When it came to anything else, we're like, listen, if you're rioting, looting, we ain't got no parts of that. You're going to sit there and you're going to rust. Because it's just not something that I want to participate in. But it's not saying that what they're doing doesn't help the cause. It does. So I'm not for it, but I'm not going to be the ones trying to be like, yo, I'm retired. I ain't trying to stop you from doing nothing. Go do what you're doing, and that's on you. And whatever happens, that's on you too. But we do benefit from it. We do benefit from them burning. We do benefit from them losing. It's just making changes. These are causing and creating. It's waking up.
But let me interject on that actual, and I want the whole panel on this one. And this is a question. So after we loot, we burn, and we do all this, and then we get a little bill passed here, a little law passed here, and we become satisfied?
No.
You keep it going.
Exactly.
I mean, with Miss Pullins had described and you know, in speaking about the church and the church's role in the movement, a majority of the movement in the civil rights was powered by the church. And you want to talk about Martin Luther King and the church and the support of the church there. And then you want to talk about Malcolm X and the support of the Nation of Islam there. And these movements were essential because they married the youth and the clergy. Over the years, that disconnect has arisen because of numerous factors. One primarily being that, you know, if you go into a black church and you have a black pastor and the entire clergy is black, and let's say 4 years ago, in the choking death of Eric Garner, you go into a black church and your black pastor can't say Black Lives Matter. What prevents you and its majority black community from saying Black Lives Matter while we're out here in the street? Fast forward 4 years, and now we have an entire nation, and it had to get comfortable. I think clergy had to get comfortable with the notion of Black Lives Matter in order for them to come in unison with where the youth are now. And it's a reality. It's an unfortunate reality, but it is a reality. And in saying that, it's not to bash the church, because, you know, everybody has their faults. What it's saying is that we have to realize that we need each other for us to progress. For us to progress as a society, we need each other. So we're going to need the people on the street. We're going to need the people in the pulpit. We're going to need the people in the high rises. We're going to need the people in corporate America. We're going to need everybody to come together so that we can move forward in this. You know, when they had the issues with Wall Street, where they were telling people, listen, Wall Street is harming us, and they were camped out in Zuccotti Park. It was people that was on Wall Street that came and joined them. It was people of color that came and joined them. People in the clergy that came and joined them, so that they could put
Tea Party.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. So people came in and joined the cause so that they could move forward to progress. And it's not to say, I mean, there's what's his name? I'm blanking on his name, but he's a pastor out in North Carolina, and he's the president of the NAACP. And he initiated Moral Mondays when he felt like the people of color weren't being treated fair in North Carolina. And he started more Mondays to get people more aware of their vote, their value, and how they can progress the state of North Carolina. And he was successful in changing a lot of the gerrymandering that took place in North Carolina because of his activism on Moral Mondays. And it's unfortunate that his name is blinking on me right now, but I'll come back to it once I get it. But it's to say that marriage of clergy and community is necessary for us to progress as a society, because you got the youth out there. The youth look to the clergy. I think the first look was to the clergy, like, hey, are you with us?
That part.
Are you with us? And if you're not going to be with us, we got to push forward and then have you join us in the comfort zone where we're out there. You'll see us getting arrested and things like that, and you'll come out there and support us. So it's deeply encouraging.
The problem has been is that they haven't showed up at all. That has been the problem that we've been having, is the fact that they haven't showed up at all because they felt they didn't like what was going on. They didn't like the fact that the pride flag is out there, whatever. I'm like, I don't care about the flag. I care about the human beings. That's what we're concerned with. It's the human beings. Get out there, because these kids are raised knowing about Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. That's all the thing they taught us in school. We didn't know. I learned everything from Raleem. I'm sorry. She definitely could probably attest to this. My professor at school, I was at John Jay, was Dr. Kwando Kinshasa. And see, she know what I've been through. So it's funny when people can kind of attest to what you've been through and experienced when you minored in African American studies. He was no joke, and he was one of the toughest professors that I had. But I learned so much from him because we don't get that. We don't get that understanding. We only get one understanding. And when we're kids, the kids, all they know is Martin Luther King. They're ready they prepared in their minds for dogs and water hoses, and you know what I mean? So they're not thinking about that. So some of the solution is we need to be out there supporting them, pushing them forward.
Right.
We don't have to come in and change their programs. We don't have to change the narrative of what they're trying to do, but they need us there to stand with them, stand alongside of them and say, hey, I'm with you. So it should be our light-skinned brothers and sisters. That's what I call our white people friends that are familiar with us, that they hang out with us. I call them
our allies.
Sisters. They hang out, and our allies.
Our allies.
They're the ones that are on the front line. They're out on the front. We put our kids in the middle, in between that. We try to figure out where we fit so that when the cops come, guess what? There's a line of defense. They're just like with any other war. So there's a line of defense. You have the Army goes first. Unfortunately, they always go first. They're the ones that are out there fighting. They show up first. They get out there first in the front line, and then everyone comes up and tries to support them, whether it be the Marines after that, and then the Navy comes in or whatever, however that's situated. But we have to start thinking strategically when it comes to that. And I think that the way that it happens is when we recognize that we cannot survive without each other. We all are so busy. Let me pull you down. This might be too much higher than me. Oh, let me pull you down. And when we stop all of that and get into the place where we can come together and say, okay, as a group, as a community, as a village, a tribe, whatever you want to call it, let's come together. Let's work together, and because that's what you hear now. A lot of it is about community and things like that. And how can we increase and build a corporate or an economic structure for our communities?
It's okay. No, I'm cutting in on you, but one of the things that you're saying is extremely important. And you talked about how you got your history from having African American professor who that was your major in African American history. And you think about at what age you got that lesson of history. So now you think about 30s. Young adults, 30s. Who are now getting this education at 30 something or 20 something or even some people, in their 40s that are getting this education. And so, it's easy for us the easy road is saying, hey, school did not teach me my history, right? And you can say that in, let's say the 60s, you can say that in the 70s and 80s. In the 90s, in 2000, it kind of differentiates, and I'm going to tell you why. We have the access to the internet. A majority of what we look at on the internet is probably about maybe 20 websites. The World Wide Web is full of probably about over 2 billion websites as a collective, right? So there's information out there that we have to continue to take advantage of and utilize. And I'm not saying now that, you know, we have a majority of access to the web that doesn't have some impairments. There are local libraries that people can take advantage of. There are also neighborhood facilities that facilitate Africana, if you want to call it. And I mean, if you're from Queens and you know, there was the African Poetry Theater on 170th in Jamaica Avenue. Mm-hmm. And people took advantage of that. Dr. John Watusi Branch was phenomenal in making sure that people understood the culture, where it came from in Africa to where it is in the United States beyond and before the Civil Rights Movement up until now. And so we have to make sure that those pieces are there. And even in today's society, you know, when I was young, we had to read books that like Hill Harper, Letters to a Young Brother, or The Pact, that talked about 3 Black doctors who made an agreement amongst themselves to be doctors in Newark, New Jersey. So we had to look for those outside resources in books. Now you have those resources directly in front of you, whether it be Instagram or Facebook and YouTube. And you know, I know that there's a negative aspect to it, but there's a positive aspect to it in learning more about different opportunities from individuals of color who have used those platforms to highlight, hey, I'm a Black doctor, I'm a Black lawyer, I work on Wall Street, I do this, I do that. So now you know what it takes to get in those fields. And so now you have easier access to them when you have, let's say, a Twitter account or a Twitter handle. So you could just directly tweet this one person, and they could look at it and respond or email it to you. And I have someone who I mentored, and he seen this gentleman who was on the news all the time, and young Black man, and he DM'd him and sent him a tweet like, hey, I want you to at least kind of help me out. This is kind of what I'm doing. That tweet that he did led to him actually speaking at Harvard University by just reaching out to that Black man who we've seen on television multiple times. And he reached out to him and he said, this is what's going on. And he said, you know what? I got a perfect platform for you. Here, go speak at Harvard University here and tell them what's going on. And you utilize that platform for what's next. And that's an avenue where we're connecting. And we have to make sure that as much bad that may be portrayed in Instagram and Facebook and all the other social media platforms, we have to figure out what the good is. How do we surround ourselves around the positive aspects of what social media brings and turn that into motivation factors for not only our generation, but the generations behind us.
Yeah, and I want to piggyback. Because I like that Brother Nathaniel mentioned an action. And that's why I kind of just want to talk about action steps, because whether it's mentoring or, you know, reaching out on technology, on whatever social media platform, all of that is great so that we can use our network and be able to, like we said, we have to work as a community. Now, the very next action step, or what should be happening simultaneously, is we need to be very conscious of how we are spending our money in the community. And if it's like, okay, like, yeah, we can use our resources to help somebody speak, all of that is excellent. And we can get, you know, yeah, we're in the information age. You can get all of this information about your history, but nothing is going to change in our community without having the financial literacy and the resources and the collaborative economic presence. And that starts with all of us saying, well, you know what? I am going to support this, whether it's a Black-owned business or you know, a friend's business, or I am going to now. I'm not going to use my money with a white company or whatever. It doesn't even have to be that you don't want to support non-white, but we all have to be more conscious about directing our dollars with businesses of color and businesses within our community. Because we can get all this information of our history, we do all this connecting and networking, but if we're not also compounding and collaborating and pooling our resources economically, the goals and the agenda that we're looking to accomplish won't be reached without that financial backing or that economic input. So I just wanted to add that little piece.
And I'm going to just add to that real quickly. I'm going to be real brief.
Uh-huh.
It's compounded into what I said in regards to social media. There's on Facebook, Instagram, there's a group called here in Queens called the Black Resource Network, which was started towards the end of last year and has blossomed as of today. I'll say as of June to over 7,000 individuals, Black individuals from Queens. And during the pandemic, while all of these businesses were shut down, the Black Resource Network was crucial in two things: highlighting essential Black businesses that were open but were struggling due to COVID-19, and making sure that people knew what was open, that was Black owned, that could use their assistance in this time, and also providing food where there was limited resources to individuals in the community. Now, this is a group that was started by one individual who said, I want to get my community together and see, let's put pieces together that, maybe something over here that a person doesn't know over there. Let's start connecting these things together. That's why it's called the Black Resource Network. Ultimately, which formed is, we have lists. There's lists now of restaurants and Black hardware stores and all different areas and aspects, because these individuals come together to make this network, make this web of connections. And it's not only saying that this is happening in Queens. I understand that there's also a resource network for Long Island that includes Suffolk and Nassau County. So using our dynamic, as I was saying about the positivity that's there for social media, using that dynamic, it helps us bridge the gaps. If we're using it well, if we know how to use it and use it well, we're bridging the gaps in our community that we know that are there, but we haven't found that way to connect them.
And we haven't. You know why? Because I feel like you is right. There's some positivity in the system of this internet age, right? But we also got to understand that these platforms is not owned by us. So as we talking about what Kareem is talking about, taking the Black money and circulating it and make sure we just supporting Black stuff, the actual networks that we are on, disseminating information to our people we don't even actually own. So the reason why it's working right now, because there's not enough of our people, right, who is taking that information and got to do what they got to do with it. The minute that happens, they're going to start creating I think Facebook already started creating some type of a void where you can't put certain stuff up. You can't do this, you can't do that. They already starting it. So the NAACP, I just wanted to get, you was talking about William Barber II in North Carolina, and NAACP, I just wanted to get that name on the record. You talking about William Barber II, Nathaniel?
Yes.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to get that. But I think I'm more with what Kareem is saying. We got to circulate our economics. We got to make sure that we support. I don't care. Listen, if you go to a Black business, it's not giving you great customer service, we treat it like we would treat anybody else's business. We'll go to another business, but make sure it's just constant of Black circulation of the dollar so we can see more back from it. But also, I just want to say there's more negative than positive on this system of the internet is because we're not utilizing it in the right way. The minute that we do, you're going to see a lot of us get pulled from this internet. Trust me.
Well, it's a time to wake up. We're gonna have the internet can help with the modern day green book. I don't know, if anybody's familiar with it, but it's called the modern day green book.
Yes.
And I thank y'all for coming out tonight.
Yes, it's
So,
going
thank
on.
you, brother.
So,
I want to say something. Wait,
Go ahead.
Ali.
Yeah.
I want to tell Kareem that my son is going to Loyola, Maryland, and I think that's his alma mater.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, in Baltimore. That's what. Get out of here.
Yep, in the business school, the same business school and everything.
Yeah, it's a business school. That's where we got to talk offline. I want to plug him in with the. We got to talk offline. I'm plugging in with the Black students. All of that.
Hey. We got a good show here.
Okay. Networking we
What's
doing.
supposed to happen? We supposed to get in community.
That's right. So and we bridging the gap. That was the key word, bridging the gap. And Kareem,
Yes, sir.
I need you to translate it in Japanese because you speak fluent Japanese and nobody knows that because I'm a man of color. So y'all ready? I'm Alley Cat.
And I'm the infamous twin.
And we are
the Kultcha.
Kultcha having a show.
Oh, yes, brother. Yes.
Thank you so much, everybody, for coming on board.
This is All Right, Right, Adjunct.